Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
It's almost time, kids. The clock is ticking. Be in front of your TV sets for the Horror-thon. And remember the big giveaway at 9. Don't miss it. And don't forget to wear your masks. The clock is ticking. It's almost time.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
What's up? And welcome to another episode. Sorry, I'm like, giddier than usual because I love that intro.
I know, it's so dang good. Like, I might make you play it again a little bit later.
It gets me just so in the mood in general, but also for the spooks and all that good stuff. Because obviously if it wasn't by the ominous red glow behind us, by the subject of today's episode, or by the intro.
I just make my own ominous red glow, honestly.
It just follows you.
It just happens.
We're getting spooky with Nerd Herder for the second time annually. We did this last year with a few episodes where that lovely intro was created. Big shout out to one of our favorite shared horror movies and sort of franchises. It's a troubled thing with me, but
it's hit or miss.
Halloween 3 is amazing. Silver Shamrock commercials will live in your head forever now, so you're welcome. But yeah, so this year we're doing it again. We're getting spooky. You are digging deeper into the control.
I am. I've got my fingers on so many buttons.
so many buttons.
So many pies. My thumbs are just...
But wait, there's more, because, I mean, if you're watching this, so again, reminder, you can watch this like our lovely patron, Brennan Marr.
Hello, Brennan.
Good evening. Hello there, General Marr. You can join us live Friday nights, usually 9-ish, o'clock.
Usually.
We make our own time here. But otherwise, obviously, you're listening to this in your ears. But if you catch it live, you'll see we got a little different setup.
Why'd you put me on the other side?
We're
I don't
separated.
like this.
We're separated. What
I miss you.
Do?
I miss your musk.
No, we changed up our look a little bit, something we've been wanting to do a while, and it's more comfortable for us. Hopefully, you like it. It's going to give us a fuller screen, I know that much, but
you can kind of see the turtle shelf right here.
You can't see a lot. Again, it's ominous. It's spooky. So it's moody right now, but you'll get to see all the cool Star Wars stuff and all. It's just nicer. It's just nicer.
Gundams.
And I want to shout out again, not just our patron Brennan, who's with us, but our patrons in general who help make us being able to do things with our podcast and equipment and all of that possible. If you like us, if you're feeling generous, and if you are loose with your wallet, you can visit our Patreon in the link below and support us at no cost and no benefit to you.
Yeah.
Listen, we run a out of the kindness of your heart thing where you get swag, you get stuff, and you get access to an exclusive Discord where we chat about topics and ideas, and patrons contribute to Nerd Herder things for sure, but we don't do a whole lot of tangible stuff. We're just not big and cool like that. So it's up to you. If you like us and you want to give us money and support what we do, you can do that. We would greatly appreciate it. It melts my heart all the time, and but yeah, it makes things like this possible. Us being able to switch up our gig and whatnot. But anyway. So link in the description for Patreon, and including other important things. If you want to give money to better causes, there's 3, 4, 5 amazing fundraisers in our description right now that you can give to. So check that out. But anyway, like I said, we're getting spooky. You saw the title, but I'm going to pretend that you don't know what we're talking about.
What are we talking about tonight? I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Well, luckily there's a promo to remind you.
There's a legend round here. A killer buried
but not dead. A curse on Crystal Lake. A death curse. Jason Voorhees' curse. They say he died as a boy, but he keeps coming back. Few have seen him and lived. Some have even tried to stop him. No one can.
Jason's alive. He's even more powerful now.
Jason belongs in hell. I'm gonna see he gets there.
Jason, come on! Come and get me! It's me you won't remember!
People forget. He's down there, waiting.
And we have the man of the hour himself with us. Jason, how are you doing, sir? Great. Thank you for taking time out of your busy schedule.
What are you up to lately? Anything to promote?
Murder. Oh, okay. Well, we at NerdyVerse do not promote or condone murder. Okay.
Eight.
Well, I'm gonna have to put in. No, just kidding. It's just our friend Charlie and
Hi,
our other friend
Charlie.
Justus, our other less Jason-y friend Justus.
I mean,
Yeah, take that off and breathe, buddy. See, these are the gimmicks you get when you tune in live every Friday at 9-ish o'clock
I coulda
to join us.
joined in the fun.
You could. We have enough masks in this home.
Within like reach, I have
Right.
5 masks because I have mental instability.
The masks we wear. That could be an episode. Anyway.
There you go.
Boys, how are you? Thank you for being here. Thank you for committing to a bit, Charlie. That we did not ask for, by the way. That's just you and your creative.
It's just your personality.
It's just you. But glad you guys are here. Much like you guys are an obvious choice when we talk about 80s and beyond action and whatnot. You're kind of a obvious pick as well for 80s and beyond.
Yeah.
Horror, kind of to a point. I think. Well, Justus, do you want to go ahead and lay it out before we get into this?
We'll have a little bit of a therapy session before.
I don't know about therapy. That's expensive. We don't charge, but
I mean, I could.
Expensive.
It's true.
Yes. Asking for a lot.
Let me get my pad out.
it doesn't make me feel.
Lay on the couch.
It's a lot. It's a lot. So are we asking how do I feel, or are we asking how is the feel of this universe?
Well, so circa 2 weeks ago when we talked about it, which kind of was why I was like, hey, you should come on for this one.
Yeah.
This would be an interesting perspective to take on. Like, where were you at before this most recent rewatch and here? Because look, I could kick you out. I probably won't if you're just like, no, Freddy's the real slasher king. I don't, whatever your feelings are. So it's well,
That is Chucky Erasure.
Yeah.
Hey,
Let the man talk.
listen,
All right.
I am a Fred Krueger. That is the guy that I think of when I think of horror movies. But that's also who I started with. So, me and Fred had a relationship, first. He was my first.
Did you like-
He was my first. I think Poltergeist was my first. But
a lot of
Yeah.
people's kids' beginnings with horror.
Yeah, especially in our generation. But Fred was my first person, that they had a face to as far as that. But I grew up in. My mother was really, really church heavy, so that was not allowed as much in the house. But the way all things work is you have family and friends, and when you're at families and friends' house, no control over what they watch. They have cable, whatever is on is on, and for whatever reason, my family and friends love horror movies. I don't know what that is in the Black community, but it's like the thing to like love hate at the same time,
Okay.
But that was that. So I started with Freddie, and Jason was like, I don't want to say the little brother, but he was kind of like the guy that was like, okay, and then we can watch Jason, and then we can watch Jason.
There's Michael Myers, there's Freddy Krueger, and
And
also
then
Jason.
Jason.
Yeah.
There's Jason, and even to be honest, Michael Myers was behind Jason. So it was Fred.
Really?
It was Fred, Chucky. I call him Fred like we were best friends, but Fred, Chucky, Jason, Michael Myers. And there's probably some in between in there as well, which with some other movies and stuff. But because there was a lot of Blockbuster had a whole section of random horror movies that I don't remember the name of, but I know there was some Babysitters.
Rosemary's Baby.
Man, yeah,
Good
yeah. And I
movie.
don't get into all of the what is the movies called that the Omens and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Love that.
I just recently opened up the World of Omen franchise to boot because
I'd never seen the remake.
For a lot of people, I think it's like the original, and but it's a whole series. It's an amazing remake. One I will defend tooth and nail. I thought it was really well done.
I thought it was good.
Yeah. So, but anyway, but yeah, I love the Omen films. They're a little more obscure, but
that music, man.
Oh,
That music for me. That
They knew what they were doing with that. So what's funny is that Friday the 13th is actually older. So Friday the 13th came out in 1980, and it was 1984, the year of Predator as well, that Nightmare on Elm Street came out.
that's right.
I didn't know that, actually. So although Michael Myers predates all of them,
1978.
yeah.
Yep.
Really?
So
78, 77. It was 78, yeah.
78, yes.
Yep.
Yeah. It was what most people call the first slasher, which is incorrect.
Nope.
Black Christmas is the first slasher. Maniac comes right after that, and then is Halloween.
And then, but Halloween, I think, was the most commercially successful.
Yes,
And
yes, it
that's-
was.
That's what spawned Friday the 13th, and arguably later on, Nightmare on Elm Street.
It's still inspiring franchises to this day. Like,
Sure. So by that, it was not that you disliked it more so. It was just like it was late to the party for you, so it was less interesting.
Yes and no. Again, in my household, it was not a thing. So if we did watch it, it was at someone else's house. So it was kind of, I didn't have a chance, an opportunity to just like, hey, I'm gonna sit and watch all of the horror movies and kind of judge which one. So it was more of that. Like, hey, if I got to watch it, I got to be real specific about what I got to watch or what I did watch when I had that little window of time to do it. So it was more of that. But I mean, Jason, I always I was interested in Jason as I think I told you this, John, as a fighter. I was like, and I think we talked about this in other action movies too. Like the challenge of like, hey, y'all can't beat this dude.
Right.
You know, like
You're the one that goes in like, no, I got this. I
I know some moves.
Right. Training to beat Jason.
Oh man, like I trained to beat every person. That's why I think that's why Freddy Krueger was the most interesting to me, because I was like, dude, I gotta fight this dude in my sleep.
Right.
How do I do that?
Get crazy. I might help him. Like I might further equip him.
Exactly.
Right. Listen, you would be awesome with a rocket launcher.
But hey, like, you know, find your motivation. If your motivation to get in the gym is I'm gonna beat Jason Voorhees if and when it happens,
I'm going to buy Justus a workout top that just says "Training to be a final girl."
Yes,
It's gonna happen.
Yes, that's amazing. That's brand idea.
Yes, we
All right, nobody steal this. Watching
Absolutely
this,
not.
listening
It's
to this,
mine.
That's ours. We did.
Write that down. We're gonna put it on TeePublic.
Done and done. What's funny is we joked about it earlier off camera, but Friday the 13th was what kind of brought me, Moo, and Charlie more together.
Yes, literally our first conversation.
Yeah, because I don't know.
That's right.
It was what? It was like on a podcast, Charlie, that we had said something offhanded about the 8th Friday the 13th.
Yep.
Was it? Yeah, and I remember the next day at work, you come to me and just like, so you know, that's my favorite one.
Yep. Literally, I think it was the first thing you said to me was,
Yep.
So Jason Takes Manhattan. You don't like it, huh? And I was like,
Yep, exactly.
No,
Exactly.
I don't like that movie.
Such a bit. So I love a lot of these, but I really love that later era because those were the ones available on YouTube when YouTube was young and like unfiltered. Like anything was on YouTube back in the day, and the only limit was like it had to be like 10 minutes, right? Like back in the day when you had a limit on what you could put on YouTube. And so it would be like part 1 of 7 of a movie, and you'd watch it in segments. And all of the Kane Hodder ones were on there. And I remember that being my introduction because I had seen A Nightmare on Elm Street, I think the second one, and I'd seen the Child's Play movies, the first 2. And so I was like I'm like, creepy, weird, supernatural stuff. I want more of these stories. And so going down the rabbit hole with YouTube and having untethered access of just like Friday the 13th, part 7, and just going from there, like such different times. So I'm fond of anything Kane Hodder, I'll say.
Fair.
I think definitely Manhattan, he looks really good. That's one of my favorite things about it.
And if you don't know who we're referring to, Kane Hodder is Jason. In the Friday the 13th movies, he is Jason from part 7 up until Jason X, which I have a list of all of the...
The longest running.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, yes.
And hopefully continuing after. I don't think Derek Mears did a bad job in the remake. He did a fantastic job. That remake is... We'll get to it.
Watch the remake. But on the topic of Jason actors, I feel like now
is the time.
So
literally like an hour ago,
we sat down. We're getting all of our new setup set and everything, and we're just chit chatting. And Boop, just scrolling on Twitter, finds out that Ted White, who played Jason in part 4, the final chapter,
did a fantastic job.
He was a very great, and if look up some interviews of him. He's in the interviews on the fan documentary. His name was Jason, the Crystal Lake Diaries.
Crystal Lake Memories. Yep.
Like there's lots of great interviews. He's a really great guy, and very southern, but also very,
an actual
charming,
cowboy.
An actual cowboy, and he got to play Jason when he was like 54.
Yep.
Which that was a long time ago, and so unfortunately. He passed away today
At 96 years old.
on Friday the 14th.
I know. Missed it by that much.
Missed it by
Poor
that
guy.
much. But a hack and slash to you, sir. You
Yeah.
were great,
From
Jason.
from all accounts, he was an incredible dude. Like, there's literally no one in the documentary that has a bad word to say about the guy, except for Corey Feldman. But who cares what Corey Feldman says? Honestly, he is a complicated fella.
Yeah, we're just not going to touch it.
Nope,
So,
we're
but
not going to touch it at all.
yeah.
Tommy Jarvis is a character.
So that's kind of sad that like literally before an episode talking about Jason.
Yeah.
Because that's what this largely is going to focus on. So we're not going to go necessarily movie by movie, except to journey with the character. So for anyone looking for specific reviews on each individual part, it'll be hard to get into all of that necessarily. But like casting a spotlight on the character
Yes.
of Jason,
The legend of
the
Jason.
legend, the story,
The
thing
LOREHEES.
that makes him interesting. And yes, 5 out of 5 hockey masks for that epic punful title by Boop.
Thank you.
Them truly. And so so it's largely going to focus on this interesting character
Mhm.
throughout really 30 years of film, but it was 42 years ago. So it just
Yeah.
depends on how we get technical. But anyway,
We
so-
could get technical, but we're not gonna.
No. So that also means that it was Boop's idea, so Boop is largely in charge. So
Ooh boy, that's a terrible idea, but here we are.
here we are. So we're at your mercy, Boop.
Well, like, it would be a good idea to start with, like, Friday the 13th, the first movie.
Yes.
Iconic horror movie. Jason does not appear except for the end. And in reality, not really. He's played by Ari Lehman, as well as a couple of stunt actors in that movie. Literally just a kid in pounds and pounds of makeup. Good for him. Yeah, we get the first mention of Jason's backstory, which is, oh, hey, I'm gonna kill a bunch of teenagers having sex because, you know, my son died. Whoops. Pamela, no, that's not her name. What's her name? The real
Betsy
lady.
Palmer.
Yes, Betsy Palmer. She said in an interview that she doesn't think of Pamela Voorhees as a murderer because she was exacting revenge, and I disagree.
So she was quoting fans.
Oh.
Because she was like, why do y'all like this so much? Because so many people will come up to her. It's like, oh my gosh, Mrs. Voorhees.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, what is wrong with you people? And apparently that was what a fan had told her, was like, you're so relatable. We get it. You know, it's just like you're avenging your dead son and everything.
Still
Still crime.
cool motive, still murder.
Still very
Sorry,
much murder.
kids.
I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you guys like? Do you
have an
get
opinion
that
here?
side of it, or is it just up and down? No, she was psycho.
I think it's not murder.
Really? Explain yourself, son.
It's just like it's just revenge. It's just revenge.
It's just revenge, you say.
Just revenge. I mean,
I feel like it's just revenge on, like, the original camp counselors who were being negligent. Yes, absolutely. But after that,
but these camp counselors who were having sex and not paying attention to the campers, they're responsible too.
yes, they are.
Like, I get. So her whole thing in the first movie is, I can't let them open up the camp again.
Right.
Yes,
Like-
that's why, you know, she was poisoning the water supply. She was lighting fires in the camp, I think, is also a line of dialogue.
There's all this stuff. Like, if you're just looking around the corner for the killer, like, you miss all of these things where she's clearly been sabotaging.
Mm-hmm.
And
Like the electric box that they're working on.
yeah, and so it does make it seem like this was the last resort. Like, she didn't jump straight to, I'm going to axe them. It's like, all right, they will not go away.
Yes.
Maybe a murder or two will scare them off.
Yeah. And also, the original incident takes place in 1957, which would make Jason how old? in
I'm
1980.
sorry, the original incident happened when?
In 1957.
57. So
Calculator.
he'd be
Calculate.
23,
Yeah, 23.
Dang. So when we get to Baghead
which is
Jason,
accurate for that.
yeah, in part 2, played by Stephen Dash and Warrington Gillette.
Well, so before we get
Oh, yeah.
there, so Justus, you
Oh, yes.
we were talking earlier about that ending scene where Jason comes out of the water and whatnot. Do you remember what point you were making with that? Because I was like, wait, save it for the podcast because I have.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, because I asked you the question, do you think that the camp is haunted or is the lake haunted? And that started kind of an argument.
Something along those lines. This is so for people that don't know, so much of this podcast, like,
It happens off
is
camera.
a bunch of like, ooh, remember that, and then we don't remember that.
Of course. One of us would think to write it down. Please continue, Justus.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. Put it on me. I also didn't remember to write that down. I have no idea what we were talking about. I remember you asking that question about the lake or the camp. I do not remember where that stemmed from. So yeah, that's what I got so far.
Well, I'll pick it back up and say, I don't think any of it's haunted.
No. Well,
because I don't think that last scene is real. Like him coming out of the water, I don't think that's real.
yeah, it's not a Carrie end, or it is a Carrie ending.
Like you said, like so 23, like the timeline doesn't fit. That's not a 23-year-old boy. That's the boy. I think it's just PTSD in that moment.
In a very nice scene up until, that happens.
Yeah. So
It's a lovely lake.
I think the Jason we see in 2 is real out there somewhere. And what happens here inspires Jason to really be the main character of this franchise.
And also, before we get too deep into it, I completely forgot to mention up the top, we have a lot of Jason's look to thank from the special effects master, Tom Savini. He also did all of the SFX for the kills and whatnot. Incredibly well done. He plays Jason's arm several times in this franchise, and he does an excellent job swinging an axe or a fire poker or a machete or a party horn or a sleep. No, he wasn't in a sleeping bag.
No, he didn't do sleeping bag.
No, he didn't do the sleeping bag.
Spear.
He did do the spear. He did shove a spear through a couple of teenagers at one point.
Yeah.
Great time. Shish kebab.
So, but was that the thing for you, Justus, where it was like, what's the deal with the boy?
I think it was on the line of what not so much was the deal with the boy, but what was the deal with thinking that it wasn't real, the whole lake thing, not in general, but the whole last boy bringing him down in the water, because I do, if you remember the was it the people in the hospital, or there was the police officer that said there was no boy, it was, you just fell out the boat.
Yeah.
Same thing in the second one, where they were like, nah, it's just you fam. And same thing in the third one. Like, you don't know nobody else,
Yeah, like I remember because we, in getting ready for this and going through those, I remember like saying like I liked the fake outs. I liked the tradition of the end with a surprise. Eventually, the next movie would tell you it's not real, but you don't know.
Yeah.
Is that really how we're going to end it, or what? I kind of like that because it's almost this commentary on like they're forever looking over their shoulder now.
Yeah. Survivor's guilt.
It's not just over when the credits roll, which is kind of an elevated thought for.
Don't you ever say the word horror? Don't.
For like these slasher movies of this era where it's just like, no, we just want to make a movie and make money and then maybe do another one next year. Like it's a big thought to be like to leave it on the point of like, yeah, and they're screwed up for life now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like the end of Sleepaway Camp.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like that third, I think it was the third one
Love
where
that movie.
you did see I'm trying to remember her name, but the character that survived was, I mean, in the back of the police car, you know, like, hey, she looked like she was at that point. She was like,
Yeah,
Mhm.
she was, and really, like, I don't like, and it's a little ahead. It's a little ahead. I don't like the looks of Jason in the third one, but that last fake out where he's running out of the house at her and it turns out to be fake, that works for me.
Yeah.
Like that's really good and unsettling, more so than somehow like a jump scare like the first few did. Something about like a deranged mongoloid mountain man running at you, it gets me a little bit more just like, stop, like, no.
Stop it.
No.
Stop.
but I think y'all did touch on when you said it earlier, or one of y'all said it earlier, the PTSD or post-traumatic stress part of it. Like that's like the real, because I'm looking, I mean, just watching the movies, you're like, that is something to live with, you know, when in the third one, when the girl was telling the story to, you know, her guy, you know, everybody has their love interest, but she was telling that story and she was like, yeah, you know, I was asleep in the woods and, you know, and I was just the weirdest, again, yeah, not a black thing, but you know, I'm sleeping in the woods, it's raining, I'm under this oak tree, and yeah, this person that has this face that I will never forget. I'm trying to be real PC with my words right now.
Face only a mother could love.
Yes, obviously.
If they hadn't used that for a tagline, they should.
I know.
That's good.
Yeah, I thought, is that not
That's a
something
good
that
tagline.
came from?
I don't think so. Maybe I'm sure somebody smarter than us is already
Probably.
Sorry, but anyway.
Yeah. No, but yeah, that's PTS, man. That's a real thing. It has to be for that. And I like the fact that they kind of inadvertently touched on that a little bit.
Yeah, I don't want to give, like, not that I think there's anybody that made these movies to crap on, but I don't want to give them too much credit to think that they artfully included it. But it's definitely in there because of what they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I like that. Certain films more than others hit on like trauma. Like I think you had said in our Discord group, like trauma changes your brain chemistry. It changes you as a person on a deep level.
Yep.
Any kind of trauma, you know, and so to have that shown in any which a way and represented is pretty interesting and pretty deep and kind of meaningful.
It's like the end of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where Sally is in the back of the truck screaming and laughing. Like that is,
that's not.
She is messed up.
Anymore.
Yeah, she is forever going to live with the knowledge that people out there exist, and they do horrible things like that.
Yep.
On a lighter note.
So, Hillbilly Jason.
Hillbilly Jason up there in the mountains.
Technically, his first appearance, other than flashbacks and the dream. This is really where we get him as the main character and really start to get more story. Because the first movie is kind of a one-off. You could almost have that movie by itself.
It's an excellent movie.
It's a
Kevin Bacon's first movie.
Was it his first?
It was his first movie.
Yes, it's his first.
Footloose didn't come out until 1983.
Yep.
He had a long way to go till Tremors. And
Wait a minute. Nope. Animal House.
Done anything better since.
Tremors.
He was in Animal House first and then Friday the 13th. Sorry.
R.I.P.D. comes close, but Tremors is Kevin Bacon's finest work.
Just excellent work there. Footloose. I hate the person that you choose to be sometimes.
Who?
Footloose is one of the greatest movies of all time.
I would agree with you.
Thank
But
you.
You know what? You know what's a big shame?
What?
Everyone else has a Hollywood star, except for Jason.
That's true.
For Jason.
That is honestly a travesty.
Wait, does Freddy Krueger have
Robert Englund has a star.
He does.
As he should.
Interesting.
Rude.
Godzilla has
honestly.
a star.
Godzilla does
does.
have star.
Well, Godzilla, he's world renowned. So, yeah.
I wonder, like, what's the process on that? Like, what do you have to have so many people vote for you?
I think it is a voting kind of thing. I know that Big Bird has one.
Interesting. I'm confused. Well, he should. Like,
Yeah.
the cultural phenomenon that is Jason Voorhees should be immortalized on Hollywood Square.
It's true.
Jason is just as big as Batman, as Superman.
I mean,
He is, because you find people who've never watched a movie, but they know who
yeah.
Jason is and they know what he looks like.
Exactly.
Look, we tried to prove a point when we were out at the store earlier, and like, at a glance, normally you can spot, oh, there is the hockey mask, the generic hockey mask,
Mhm.
and there's the pseudo Michael Myers. Like you can usually see the big ones on any Halloween costume rack. We did not, which I guess good for you. Also, I guess these kids are just into different things, but nonetheless, that's what kept it so alive. Is it's just like, it was an easy and recognizable costume. And I mean, just so iconic, but it doesn't start that way, because I guarantee if Jason had never grown beyond the potato sack, he would not be as popular.
No, he looks like the antagonist of the town that dreaded, or the town that dreaded sundown.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like
Which is a true story.
it is a
Yeah.
true story, and it's a fantastic movie on top of that.
Which was a true story that was like unfolding around that time too.
Yep.
So
Yes,
it's
it
like,
was.
It was really bold of them, and the fact that they got away with like
Hmm.
largely copy and pasting a real criminal.
Oh yeah, they exaggerated and they embellished it, but a lot of people did that. With stories, the Texarkana murders.
Mhm.
Do yourself a favor and look into those.
Watch the first one and then watch the remake.
Yes.
The remake's good too.
The remake
But
is
that
very
was my first. That was my first horror movie. Was The
Really?
Town that dreaded sundown. Yep.
Wow, that's so specific.
I think. Well, no, I think I know mine. I am pretty dang sure mine was Child's Play.
Mine was it.
Pretty sure. Justus, what was your first? Do you remember which Freddy Krueger?
I remember it was the
Freddy sucks.
one. I think it was.
Shut
Oh, I think it might have been 3. It was the one where they could. I think
Use
it
their
was the one where they
powers?
could fight back. Where they
Dream
learned how to
Warriors?
fight back. Yeah.
Dream Warriors?
Dream
Yeah,
Warriors
I
is such a
Freaking
good
love
movie.
Dream Warriors.
And I remember
Okay.
the guy in the wheelchair, and I remember
Yes,
he could stand up, and it was a whole thing.
I'm
And I
a
was like,
warlock.
Yeah. I was like,
Listen.
no. Yes. and it-
Oh my
See,
god.
okay, so here's the thing about that. So in Dream Warriors, they had to get him out of the chair to kill him.
Yes.
Jason doesn't give to.
No.
Doesn't
no.
he pushes
Hey.
him down the
Not at all.
stairs.
You disabled?
My
You
favorite
gay?
scene.
You're
You disabled and gay,
You disabled and gay?
You're
which was the
dead.
case with that guy.
You're a minority.
You're dead.
because He is an equal opportunity slasher. You
It's
don't
true.
get too many of those these days.
They just
True.
yeah, he doesn't kill kids though.
No, he did.
Oh my gosh!
Because there's one scene where he and I can't remember which one it was, but he goes into the camp and he scares them.
That's what's the one with the cop? He bends him in half. Is that
Oh, that's a good one.
is that
I
Jason
remember
Lives?
I think that is Jason
I think,
Lives.
I think it's Jason Lives. Yeah.
'Cause
Mhm.
it's the cop dad, right?
Yep.
Yep.
That's where he gets the cut and the mask.
Yeah.
So good.
So, a funny thing and a shout out, and
Love that movie.
obviously, what?
I just now saw Charlie's Mug.
Oh yes.
It's a good one.
I'm clearly biased because it was my first, and I love the Child's Play franchise. I love Chucky.
That's fine.
You can binge the entire season of the show on Peacock, and they're fairly cheap at a monthly rate. But honestly, you could finish it in a month for $4.99. But in there's a joke where Chucky's talking to someone, and he's like, all right, like the world is our oyster. Get out there and murder. And they're like, wait, do we kill babies? Like, like define who we can murder. And he's like, no, we're not monsters.
Define infant.
Well, yeah, it's like once they start walking, they can be pretty wily.
That's true.
It just made me think of that, where it's just like that. That's an interesting scale of would they kill a child.
Also, speaking of child's play in general, in Bride of Chucky, there is a close-up of a locker in a police station, and you see a hockey mask.
Yeah.
It's not a very good one, but hey, Jason wears a hockey
It's
mask.
probably the same one me and Charlie were talking about that I bought at like $1 as a kid.
Probably. But there's also Michael Myers mask and the razor glove and the whatnots. None of that matters right now. We're talking about Jason.
Yeah.
Jason. So we're at Child's Play. Not at Child's Play. We're at Friday the 13th 2. Where he gets a little bit more personality, if you'll call it that, I guess. He's definitely angry because somebody killed his mommy, and you know what? That's gonna mess you up.
That's fair.
Yeah, he's built a shrine to mommy in his little shack. Good for him. Arts and crafts is good for a growing boy.
Right.
Gotta
stay busy.
Got to. It's the first 4 movies, I think, that someone said they take place in a weekend.
Adjacently. I don't believe it's a weekend. I want to go back and count the sunrise sunsets because I'm pretty sure we have a couple in at least part.
And then we got the time jump with Annie.
3 and 4.
Yeah.
No, well, so
wait a minute.
So the beginning of part 2 is like right after.
Yes.
Not like the next day, but like it's fairly soon after. Like the final girl from the first one is trying to like acclimate back, and in an opening scene is talking to someone. I think their mother and like complaining about like trying to get back to normal. More of that like post traumatic stress stuff.
Fair.
And she gets offed, so Jason gets his revenge and
with a faulty prop.
Like wanders back into the forest for 5 years. Is it a 5-year?
Yep.
No, I think it's 5 years.
I think it is. Yeah.
So from that time jump, from that 5 years later, the events happen on Friday the 13th. Supposedly, the next part 3 is the next day, so Saturday the 14th.
Yeah.
And then supposedly part 4 is Sunday the 15th.
Yes.
Supposedly.
And then we get another time jump.
I challenge everyone who's interested or cares to join me in checking that out, because I don't think that's accurate. But clearly it's like boom, boom, boom. It is like connected, but I think like there's a couple of days.
Yeah.
At least in part 3 that happened.
Get Matt Pat on here, because Lord knows he knows how to timeline.
So nonetheless, the first 4 are kind of condensed for sure.
Yeah. And like I said, in part 2, Jason is played by Stephen Dash, Warrington Gillette, and a stunt performer that I did not write down the name of because I am a terrible podcaster.
No.
No.
Van Damme did it.
Yeah. But you can definitely notice a...
Turns out he was too short.
Yeah, probably.
Well, at first Jason, and Jason too, he wasn't that tall.
No, Jason too, he was just a dude.
Yeah. He was thick, but he wasn't like hulking.
Which one?
Hey, boy.
Is it part 3 that has the acrobat guy?
Yes, part 3 is Richard Brooker.
That's the first time he got big.
Yeah.
He was big and loomy in that one. Also, again, supposedly the next day, but he lost all his hair.
Exactly.
Because you go from the second one, he is a hairy mountain man, clearly no access to like stuff.
Well, like a high stress situation, you lose your hair. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
Do you remember? Go ahead.
Oh no, I was going to jump, and we can come right back because this is a whole other topic. But Jason he's a master of stuff, and he knew what he was doing. That was strategic.
Absolutely.
It's like I need to be able to move through these woods without nobody knowing me
Not get
or
snagged.
hearing me. Yeah.
Mhm.
No, he was strategic about that.
I like to think that once so part 3 is where he gets the mask. That's where
Yes, from Shelley,
the
the
Jason,
original nice guy.
and I like to think that he tries that on and it's just like this hair doesn't work, and then like shaves it
Steady.
real quick,
Yeah,
and then gets back to the murder and whatnot.
of course. And part 3 is, of course, in 3D, so we've got a lot of good kills. Good
This
kills.
is my least favorite. Jason movie.
Question
I
mark.
agree with you
I'm
on
just
that.
gonna go ahead and drop that
I
bomb.
agree
It's-
also.
It's not good. It's not a great movie.
I mean, if that's your job, he's
Yeah.
good at his job.
Yeah, like he is effective. Like he has some synergy.
Efficient, he is resourceful.
This is a great bullet point on a resume, but it is not entertaining.
No.
So this dude did not have his own weapon. I think he had a knife.
Yeah,
Every other
Yeah.
weapon he used, he borrowed. He put it
Yeah.
back. He was nice about it. But he
Mhm.
borrowed that harpoon.
the
Like,
harpoon kill was very
borrowed.
good.
That was
It was-
probably the best kill of the movie.
Just a
This is a
harpoon
knife
to the
thrower.
crotch.
the
Knife thrower.
Mhm.
the harpoon was the best use of the 3D for sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
But that is why I think this is my least favorite, and I'm not like gonna. It's still an entertaining watch. It's like a
Yeah.
step to the next thing, right? It's nothing spectacular. It's just to make another one and get to the next part.
Mhm.
But you can clearly tell like it's done for the spectacle,
Yeah.
more so than it's not like, oh, Jimmy, I've got a great idea, and and it spawns this whole interesting journey to making a movie. It's just, oh well,
No.
the last one
It's
was
a
really
movie
financially successful. We got to do it again.
in 3D.
Yeah.
So it's like so many things just didn't work in this movie because they were just trying
Yeah.
to cash in. I think.
There is a great scene of someone screaming while going down a spiral staircase that lasts just a bit too long.
Right. What were you gonna say, Charlie?
I mean, you had different movies at the time, like Jaws was in 3D. It was just on it was just a fad for the time.
Mm.
Wait, was Jaws 3 3D as well?
I think
Oh
so.
my God.
It was. See, they weren't even the ones that originate the third one is in 3D thing.
No.
Yeah.
Jaws 3 3D is better than this thing.
Well,
Wait, maybe that's a little much. Maybe that's.
Yeah, have you seen Jaws 3?
That's stretching it.
I got carried away. I apologize.
I
Sorry, Bruce. I didn't. It's not. You're not that great. But anyway.
no.
So, hang on. Before we move on from that.
Of course.
Not a great movie, but for whatever reason, like this is the Jason you like.
It is
latched onto?
my favorite Jason design, obviously. I mean, above.
Well, for me, it's obvious. Yes.
Yeah, because you're looking straight up at my shelf full of Friday the 13th 3 Jasons.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Count the pop.
9 different iterations of this very specific part 3 Jason.
I like the flannel jacket.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I pick up with Jason here on 3 more than I do on 1 and 2.
He's the most interesting part of the movie.
Yeah, I'd rather have hockey mask, this design, Jason, than I would, potato sack and then mommy.
Sure.
The Klansman.
Yeah.
Jason.
I can live without the first two, to be honest.
This is
I can
where
live without them.
this is where he became the like stone cold,
Yes.
indomitable killer.
Yep.
Not
Right.
Stone Cold, Kane Hodder.
This- This is where he becomes an apex predator.
Exactly.
For sure. It's not revenge and it's not like feral. It's like, and that's the thing
It's
is,
evil.
and you get again. This is where he gets big.
Yep.
You start to get that aesthetic of like, no, he's a wall, but he's also somehow fast and scrappy. Because in this one, he's pretty physical too. So it's not just. I think you mentioned it, Justus. Like he uses a variety of weapons. Like it's not just the same old. Like I think this is where he starts to get creative too.
Yeah, he's been improvising weapons this entire time, and I think we'll talk about the remake later. So I'm not gonna get into that yet. We're
We'll get there.
moving through it. as quickly as we can. So we get to Friday the 13th Part 4. A decent movie, depending on, if you enjoy it or not.
One of my favorites.
I like it personally.
Yeah.
It was a very, from what you hear, it was kind of a tense set because they were just trying to get through making a movie.
Yeah, this was that Kubrick wannabe guy, wasn't it?
Yep, it was.
Just
So obnoxious in the interviews, but in my opinion, he was interesting. Yeah, there were several stories about, like, there was when they were filming the raft scene where the actress gets stabbed through the torso. It was December. Like, they had been shooting for 12 months or 12 weeks, which it should have been a 6-week shoot. Like, she was, like, in a lot of pain. She even contracted hypothermia at one point and was sick for days. But thankfully, they had someone like Ted White on set, who actively fought for, better treatment of the actors and, was just an all-around awesome dude. This also introduces a Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah.
Which
Yes.
had like 6 different people play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I was going to say, like, his characters appeared the most of any other than Jason in his own franchise. I think Tommy even shows up more than Pamela Voorhees.
It's
unless
true.
you count her gravestone.
2, 3, 4. Yeah, we've got Kane Hodder as Jason in 4 movies. You've got Tommy Jarvis in, if you count the fan-made movie, which I do because it is really good.
Do you remember the name of it?
Never Hike Alone.
Never Hike Alone. Check it out. It's a really good
It's
fan.
so good.
Like, I know what you're going to say. It's a fan-made movie.
It is a
It's
fan-made
really
movie
good, though.
that was blessed by Kane Hodder.
Blessed by Kane Hodder. It had the more fan-accepted actor for Tommy Jarvis come back. It's just really cool.
It's
man.
just a good movie.
Check it out. It's on YouTube.
Yeah, that's Never Hike Alone.
But yes, Tommy Jarvis shows up in this one.
Played by Corey Feldman.
I liked that it introduced, because literally every time it's a reset button. Maybe the final girl comes back and gets killed in the next one, but largely each movie just resets to give Jason a new playground. I liked that Tommy was introduced as this kind of lasting foil to the villain. Right?
Yeah, and he's a good character all the way throughout. Like, Jason doesn't have a lot of personality to him, other than there's this big hulking
Part 6.
until Part 6.
No, 7. Sorry. Until Kane Hodder, basically.
Yes, until Kane Hodder.
Sorry.
But yeah, he's mostly just this giant hulking beast, basically like an animal in a monster movie. But Tommy Jarvis, you have the opportunity to have a character to project upon. And I don't know, I think he was a good addition to the series, personally.
No, like I said, I like that we had a counter. Because usually with these kinds of things, so one thing, Charlie, you and I were talking about off camera, because the new Halloween came out today, by the way. If you
Yes.
like spooky things, you, again, get Peacock, check it out, binge Chucky, do all of these things. One of my favorite plot threads of the Halloween franchise is the brother-sister thing with Laurie Strode. Michael Myers is secretly her brother, and that's part of what keeps bringing them together for whatever reason throughout many of the movies. So when the new trilogy got rid of that, I was like really kind of miffed, but like at least it kept that. But we talk about PTSD because of the events of it. She is still inseparable from him. That keeps things interesting because like characters can, like villains, slashers continuing to come back and just get nerfed by some rando each time. It's just a little silly, I think. Like Freddy goes through that. There's no real villain to Freddy. there's no not villain, but like no counter to him.
Yeah.
Adding in that, oh, this character is going to go toe to toe with Jason until one of them goes down. I think is just more interesting.
Yeah, and it's all in all, like I said, it's a fun movie. It's good to watch.
What do you guys think of? Because he's with us for the next 3 movies.
Yes.
His character gets to stick around for a little bit and back and forth with Jason. Did you like that reset, or was it kind of just like meh?
Meh.
Any particular reasons it didn't work for you?
No.
You just don't like children?
No, I don't like children.
Well, I don't look in your house right now.
I like mine.
I like yours too.
There you go.
I just don't like other people's kids.
We got it on camera.
Yeah.
I just, hope Freddy visited them.
Like, Jason seems to be that one where a lot of people seem to like the repetitiveness. I can't think of another word for it, but like the formulaic thing.
Yeah.
Kids come to camp, kids do drugs and sex, kids get killed, and one of them kills Jason.
Yeah.
Like,
Kills.
That's kind of the Friday formula.
But is it the Friday formula or is it the Halloween formula?
Halloween doesn't have a formula.
Well, it's the same. It's just, it may not be
in
like camp.
In the first one.
Yeah.
Kids have sex, kids die.
It's the greatest, like, what's the word for it? What's the
Abstinence?
Jonas Brothers? Abstinence.
That's right.
The Jonas Brothers?
Still word.
They went on this whole, like, abstinence campaign. You don't remember
Yeah,
that?
I do remember. That was because their parents were psychos.
Yeah, but still, that was a thing. But anyway, yeah, don't do drugs or sex. At least not at camp.
Yeah.
One time at band camp. Anyways.
No.
But like with Halloween doesn't have a formula because like Halloween changes whatever direction the wind blows. It feels like
It's true. Let's introduce a cult just for funsies.
right. Somehow Michael Myers is supernatural
Yeah.
now.
Mm-hmm. And Jason is not until later movies. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was about to bring that up, but okay, go ahead.
Oh,
yeah,
no, you're fine.
still firmly a dude. Jason Voorhees is just a dude.
It's
right
just
now.
a
Well,
dude.
actually, this is part 4 is the one that ends that.
Yes.
Yep. Part 4
Because it's meant to be the last movie.
Yeah, it's meant to be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Never works out.
No.
Like,
They can't let something die.
what it's like
No.
the 4th or no, it's the 5th one where it's just like Nightmare on Elm Street. Freddy's dead.
Mm-hmm.
No, he's not.
No.
No, he's not.
No, it's not.
No.
No, what you're doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, part 4 kills off Jason. I think people
For about 19
mistakenly
months.
just thought that he was always, because he was so indomitable, always thought he was a zombie, I guess.
He does teleport a couple times in part 3.
Yes.
Did y'all watch it like that? Or do you remember if you ever questioned living, dead, what's the deal with him? Or what? 'Cause only one movie firmly deals with that.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think at first that was my thoughts, just because of the whole the understanding of, okay, is this a boy in the lake? Is he just hanging out at the bottom of this lake? Because obviously that takes some type of supernaturality. But so by the third one, maybe by the third one, I was like, okay, I get it. It's not the boy at the lake. That was probably something in their head. Whatever. He does things. Like the rope thing. The rope. Listen.
So
that
good.
was awesome.
Listen, because he starts with 2 hands, which makes sense. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll believe that.
Goes
You got
to
that.
one.
I'll work out. It might be possible. So he does the 2 hands, but in order to take it off his head, he has to release 1 hand.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
now he's holding himself up on a rope,
Yep.
body hanging, one head.
Well, and not
mask
even
come off
like
and fixes his mask.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and it's not even like a around the hand kind of thing, like you're adding
No.
tension. It's literally just holding the rope. But one of my favorite like jump scares though is that one
It's
in part
good.
3 where he just like comes back after being hung. So like my thing with it, and if I was a smart man and a professional podcaster, I may have looked it up even. I was thinking about like how would this work
Hi, Andy.
actually, and I know so we listened to a podcast, a medical history podcast called Sawbones.
Yes.
Highly recommended if you're interested in how medical history has developed, and they do topical things. They did something with COVID. They do things with all kinds of interesting topics. So if you've ever been like, where the heck did this whole enema thing come from?
Yeah.
They have an episode.
They dispel a lot of rumors about topics like abortion.
Yeah, like that. They try to like educate and also like not necessarily take a side, but just look at the facts and give you information. Really, really good and entertaining. It's not just dry and boring. I know what it sounds like.
No, it's the McClure family, so it's good.
They talk about all kinds of things, and I know like I've heard of like people that don't feel normally, like physically, and it's not like a paraplegic or someone who literally can't feel or use a limb, but it's more of a like they don't process pain depending on how they develop.
Yeah, I forget the word for it, but yes, that is a condition. It's terrifying.
Considering that Jason is not normal,
yes,
you could headcanon that maybe that he has something like that because he gets shot, he gets stabbed, he gets like all of this stuff, and he just brushes it off. He just might not like feel it. He might just not know like normal pain. I don't know like that. I've definitely always been like maybe there's something there. I don't know.
There's a theory. I forget who posited it for the first time that Jason is inbred, and therefore that is the explanation for his.
I don't want that.
I know it's a horrible thought, isn't it?
This isn't Deliverance.
It's not Game of Thrones.
No, it's not Game of Thrones. It's not Deliverance. One of the people who worked on the Wrong Turn series worked on one of the movies, but we're not going to acknowledge that because I hate the Wrong Turn series.
Those are different things though. Like the family presented their like three fingers.
Two fingers.
Two fingers.
Yep, I've seen a lot of the movies, and I still don't like them.
Like that inbredness is, I think, different than like you don't have to inbreed to.
That's multi-generational inbreeding.
Differently developed child. Like I've always processed it that way. He was just born that way, and
Lady Gaga would love him.
It was unfortunate because Pamela Voorhees doesn't seem like the type to like sleep with her brother cousin. It seems like I don't want to believe that. I don't think so. That. I don't know, man. Because like I've always she went crazy, but I always admired the whole like the thing with it's just like imagine having a kid like that and being his protector and then not being there when the worst thing that could possibly happen happened. Like that's I don't condone the murder, but I do understand the feelings. Adding on top of that like that incest and all that. No, I can't do that. Like,
I do.
Incest is a step too far. What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I do, however, feel like it maybe it's like you're talking about the processing of the pain because I mean we know that he felt there was times where he felt pain. When he got stabbed in the hand and he he yelled. Like hey, obviously he felt that. I want to say it was one of the movies, maybe it was the first one, when somebody was talking about maybe it was the second one. The girl was in the bar. Jenny was in the bar. Was talking about him, but being able to process things. But I don't think it kind of put me in the thought process of being able to process pain or being able knowing what to do with pain. Let me say, knowing what to do with because in his mind he might not understand like, hey, this hurts. Let me stop doing what I'm doing and tend to this wound. Hey, this hurt. But everything else, the sticker bush that I brushed against when I was a kid hurt. The me drowning in the lake didn't feel
the machete
good.
in my shoulder hurts pretty good too.
Yeah. Oh man, the whole collarbone, that whole conversation. But but yeah, I think it's a processing thing. I mean, it could we could talk about that. That it's a processing thing, and he just don't know what to do.
It's an interesting thing. Like, I think. You can apply something like that to it. Clearly, at some point, he stopped. After this one, he's dead.
Yes,
he's Frankenstein back in the
straight
next
up
one.
dead.
We're skipping part 5. We're skipping.
We're mentioning part 5 because it's not Jason, but actors need recognition.
Watch the movie, but like on your own time and in a separate marathon.
In a flashback, Jason is played by Tom Morgan. Thank you for your service.
Okay.
Moving on to part 6, a very good movie.
So, we talked about PTSD. Part 5 is just.
That's it.
Only for that. Tommy Jarvis is dealing with the fact he killed a man.
Yep.
That's it. Because he did. He did.
In this economy, who hasn't? Let's be honest.
The 12-year-old killed a man and he's dealing with it.
Divine told me it was okay.
And apparently he's dealing with it to the point that in part 6, he chooses to go to the grave of Jason. First of all, who buried him? And second of all, plans to burn his body.
Also, I think they mentioned that the body of Jason was cremated in part 5.
It's just weird. And so, in the most, slapstick happenstance I have ever seen in a movie, somehow a rod gets jammed into the corpse of Jason Voorhees, struck by lightning, and Bob's your uncle, Jason's alive.
He's alive.
He's a zombo.
It's Zambi Jason time, baby boys. Do you believe that he is a ghoul, a spirit, or a revenant? Any opinions?
I don't know what the word revenant means. So.
Basically,
an
angry spirit that is reanimated by hatred. There you go.
Yeah, I think remnant would be a proper term for him.
Exactly.
Now, in the beginning of part 6 is when Tommy was digging him up to cremate him. So.
But here's the thing. I feel like the irony is lost on this movie that if he had done nothing and moved on with his life, Jason would have stayed dead.
Yeah, but if it's supernatural rules, you got to burn the bones.
But it's literally lightning.
Well, I mean, think about it. Frankenstein.
Yeah.
No, here's the thing. I'm with you on the lightning. I'm with you on the lightning resuscitation. I get that.
I love you.
Okay. Having taken classes on this, that's not how resuscitation works. So technically, it's not accurate.
I took classes. I went to college.
But I will give it to this ridiculous thing that, okay, he was zapped back. I'm not arguing that. I'm saying if he hadn't dug him up to be zappable, he wouldn't have come back.
Right. But you got to understand, Tommy has problems.
Clearly.
I mean,
and he's making them I want a body count. How many people died in this one because Tommy Jarvis couldn't let go of his baggage?
I don't know. Let's check the kill count.
Too much.
I'm checking the kill count.
Check the kill count.
Too much. Any is too much because there is a lesson in this, people. Listen, move on and don't dig up your dead childhood playthings. Leave them
be.
Dead is better.
Dead is better.
Dead is better.
18.
That's a lot of people at once.
18 people died because Tommy couldn't move on. How many will die because you can't forgive your dad?
A lot.
I almost said something that would have gotten me a phone call.
Considering the audience, I got too real for a second.
It's true.
Hey, listen, I'm right there with you. I'm right there.
Oh,
But I think that
anyway.
was a big thing with a lot of the movies for me, and my issue with I think we talked about the fight scenes before in the sidebar conversation, but like the people that
Excellent point.
was like, I don't want to kill you, I just want to hit you, get you off of me, which is, yes, self-defense. I've taught self-defense, yes, get them off of you, get away. However, this is not that situation. This dude is killing other people. You know, he's going to continue to kill other people. He's done it. He's going to keep doing it. So when he comes after you, don't be scared. Don't be like, hey, I'm going to hit this dude. I'm going to kick him a couple times. I'm going to run.
Right.
Take this dude out. Why are y'all scared
All in.
to take this dude out? And why are you living your life later on in life like, oh, man, I killed him, man?
Right. Tommy Jarvis had it right in part 4. Like, he killed his mom. He killed that hiker dude that he was, like, admiring and really into. He was also super hunky.
He killed that banana.
He killed a banana. Like, Tommy had the right idea. He was like, this man is a monster. He's got to be stopped. Right?
Yeah.
Like, and then he stopped him, and then he restarted him. Is my whole, like, I just can't let it go. It's like the stupidest thing.
It's his fault.
Okay.
It's his fault.
Right. So just like Tommy, he couldn't let it go. You can't let it go.
Exactly.
You're going to reanimate Jason if you don't stop.
Don't
Let it
psychoanalyze me on my own show.
To be fair. Good night, Andy. Beautiful babe.
Good night, Andy.
See, buddy.
Love you, buddy.
I mean, so part 6 is a really good one. I jest, but like,
No, it's fun. It's a lot of fun.
It's got the second best death in it.
are we talking about the Winnebago?
The
No,
Winnebago.
we're talking about the bed where he folds the sheriff up in the bed.
Oh yeah.
So good.
So
good.
I really like the camper when he takes out the couple in the camper and crashes the camper, and then he's on top of the camper.
Yeah, that's a good one too.
Yes.
That is such like an iconic, like that's a metal album cover. Like,
Absolutely.
If ever I've seen one, it's so good.
Yeah.
I think this was the most 80s one too, because it had like a really bumping soundtrack.
There was an extended sex scene to hair metal. Yes, it was very 80s.
Alice Cooper was on the soundtrack.
Yes, like
mean-
this one leaned into it. Like,
Mhm.
you got Zombie Jason, you might as well. Like, all in all, Zombie Jason is my favorite Jason. I'm just saying that his origins are stupid. I would have preferred some youngsters pulling a prank, being like, "Oh, we're going to steal Jason Voorhees' body," and that.
Yeah.
Tommy seems too smart for this,
Seems, but he is also traumatized.
and he's supposed to be our hero in this one. He's the reason Jason ends up back in the lake, though.
Yes, in one of the coolest shots ever.
Yep.
IMHO. Like him getting like rocked to the bottom of that lake is
Sleeping with the fishes.
exactly, and that image is something that I want like to hang in my home at some point.
It's a really cool shot. There's actually a statue.
Yes, it's so expensive. Otherwise, I would have it.
No, like there's a statue in the lake, like in the original.
Oh, yes.
In the original Crystal Lake, there's actually a sunken statue of Jason under there. So if you like
Yes, there is.
dive under there, you could run into Jason. It's pretty legit. What were you gonna say, Charlie?
Just a little trivia for this.
Mm.
This one movie. There's no nudity in this movie. It's the
No, there's not.
only movie that has no nudity in it. So it's a good Christian movie.
It's a good Christian movie. Show it to your kids. A
It's
very
PG
booby franchise.
It's PG-13.
Why haven't you showed it to your children already?
No nudity, and a guy named with a name that starts with a J gets resurrected. Yeah, it's
Mm.
good Christian film.
Maybe not 3 days, but certainly some time has passed.
But
There is something I want to say, and it is sacrilegious.
Oh,
Oh, no.
go for it. Do I need to put on the devil mask?
No.
but I'll give you the floor is yours.
You've got the big three, the holy trinity of the horror: Michael, Jason, and Freddy.
See. I
The rest
don't
of them
know.
the rest of them are disciples.
I don't feel like that's
I-
sacrilegious, actually, though.
No, but I disagree on Michael personally. I think you need to put Chucky up there. If we're going iconic, Chucky is one of the most iconic.
It's really hard to quantify, though, because I will say Michael. I define iconic in the sense of like recognizability, cultural impact, not necessarily on quality. Chucky has better quality, but
Oh, wait a
I
minute.
think Mike is.
Dang it. I just thought of something that's going to justify your point. Oh,
What?
man. So you have
The first
Michael, who is the first. He is the father. And then you have Jason, who is the son, quite literally. And then you have Freddy, which is a ghost. Dang
She
it.
gets it.
I
She
don't
gets
like
it.
this. I don't like where this is going.
I don't like it either. But here
I
we
don't
are.
like where this is going.
You know what I do like
Okay.
though. My favorite.
The devil
Friday
is
the 13th
busy.
Carrie is Mary Magdalene.
Favorite Friday the 13th, Part 7.
Yes. Bar none, we get the
One of the
introduction
best.
of Kane Hodder as Jason.
Yeah.
Sick boy.
Like I know the psychic girl is not everybody's favorite.
Dude, I don't care.
No. It's. That's my second favorite Friday the 13th.
My man. Yes. But here's the thing: if we're resurrecting like psycho slashers, like a psychic girl isn't like the least of my problems.
Yeah.
Like, okay,
Mhm.
sure. Really great like characters, like you said, Kane Hodder, and the best that Jason has ever looked in
Yep.
movies.
Yes. It has the best kill in the franchise.
When she rips man, he was up. She gave him a run for his money on that
Yeah.
one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
I mean,
Yes.
she gave him hell.
Absolutely. Like this is the first time that someone has Tommy like defended himself,
No.
resurrected him.
She went
and-
after him.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like this is just so like up to this point it's a lot of like everybody loves Jason, everybody likes seeing him in the mayhem, right? Like this is the first time we get someone who can cause as much mayhem, like meet that level and push back against that.
Mm-hmm.
I love this movie. I just think it's so good.
Yeah.
Some of the better quality, and just again, like I can't not see Jason the way he looks in this movie. Like if I think of him, he's going to be super zombie decayed.
Yeah.
You know,
So
Jason.
cool. So cool looking. Ending, very cool.
And I think that for me, just like you, this is Jason. This is who he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I said earlier, I enjoy when he gets the face mask. That's when I start to see Jason. But this is the iconic. This is the most recognizable Jason. Is the one we get in this movie.
Well, and what's funny is, and it's ironic just because it's his name, like because of the build and because of the like character that Kane Hodder brings to Jason in this, I get such like WWE vibes.
Yeah.
I get like Undertaker, Kane, like I see like Mick Foley, like this just beast,
Mhm.
and like he shows up and it's just like you like watch whenever he walks into scenes. It's perfect in Jason Takes Manhattan when he's walking down Times Square. He stops and he looks. That's that moment where The Rock gets in the middle of the ring and waits for the audience to stop clapping.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like he is basking in the glory. Like it's
You got to do the sniff, man.
so good.
You got to do the exaggerated sniff when you're talking about Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
And you can
Now he's just
smell-
Dwayne Johnson.
You can smell what Jason's cooking because he is rotting.
He is maggoty. He is shanky.
I mean, how can you not smell him coming? I mean, you know.
Exactly. There's a scene in a porta potty. How could you not? Like
Right.
that entire. Oh my god! I need to mention my favorite kill of the franchise because it is so good.
This is the one.
This is the one where they're having their little duet in the toilet, and then Jason just comes up to the lady, grabs her face, shoves a party horn, and it makes the greatest
Yes.
sound ever.
I wish I had clipped
Oh,
that to include
I
it.
love that kill so much.
That. And what's funny is like, it's funny, but it's not funny.
No.
Too. It's like it's not played to comedic effect, because it's still very much just like like jarring, but it's so funny.
She gets a party horn shoved in her eye. Of course, it's not funny, but like it makes such a good noise. It's so funny.
And this is also the movie that almost like I don't want to say killed him, but like he would have been seriously, gravely injured for the rest of his life. There's a scene where Jason goes through a staircase, and it's one of those old house staircases where you go through the staircase. Like under the staircase is another staircase to the basement. So that's how he ends up in the basement, and he ends up hitting his head on the very top portion of the part.
Yeah, the part that wasn't fake.
Yeah,
basically.
And like just a bit off, it would have been more than like a headache. It would have been very, very bad.
No, it injured his neck, and you can kind of still see the effects of it all these years later.
But that's the like, not to say like throw people to the fire because you can, like because it's their job or anything. But you see the benefit of getting a proper stunt actor.
He went to Hollywood stunt school.
No, to like when you get someone that can do the stuff, not just a big guy.
He does. I don't remember if it's in this movie or in Manhattan. He does a 30-second extended fire scene. That is one of the most impressive fire stunts.
This one, it's in the basement when.
You're right.
Yeah, she catches him on fire from the furnace.
I think it's either like 30 or 50
he set
seconds.
a record with that.
He did.
At the time, it was quickly broken, but I think he set a record. Like, you get to do stuff with Kane Hodder, you wouldn't dare.
You set him on fire
with other people. Like
that poor dude.
Ted, like I said, Ted White was in his 50s. If he had done this stuff, dude would have died.
He couldn't have done it. He couldn't have done this.
No.
This was actually supposed to be Freddy versus Jason.
Really?
But the two studios couldn't come to an agreement.
Yep. Because this was when that whole dander started.
That soon would not be a problem.
Yes.
But before New Line Cinema,
we're gonna
their
mention
meaty
it.
clause on it. We do get a little romp. So
Jason takes a boat.
After this epic, you follow that up with Jason Takes Manhattan.
My least favorite in the franchise.
Despite the name makes you think this is going to be a spectacle.
No.
Right? Like Jason Takes Manhattan?
It's an extended cruise through the waters outside of New York City. He is not even the most devious bastard in New York City. He is a toddler swimming just outside of a porthole sometimes.
So clearly you love this movie, but for
absolutely.
You take Jason belongs to Crystal Lake. The whole
he does.
If we're talking about lore, it's always centered around this place.
Yep.
What do you think of the whole taking a field trip for the character? Did you like mistake, benefit, cool mix up?
I think it's a cool mix up. I mean, I was watching an interview with the director of that one, and he was like, I wanted to take him out of Crystal Lake, put him somewhere where he's never been. And New York City was the best place for that. Because, I mean, think about it. For the first 3/4 of the movie, you have him on a boat. I mean.
But racking up a good list of, I will say, a good bit of this movie is just spent on Jason getting to be Jason.
It's true.
That's what makes it so great.
And then New York, and then the spectacle doesn't stop there. Like he gets some pretty good and creative moments in New York as well.
There's a great rooftop fight.
When he knocks the
it's so good.
You want to talk about fight styles, Justus? That you need to strive to be better than this dude because
he puts up a fight and it is impressive.
His knuckles are bloody, and that just goes to show you just how much power and strength Jason actually has.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. That's what I said. He's an indomitable wall.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're gonna have to get creative. You're gonna have to pull some Jackie Chan stuff to take this guy down. But
I don't doubt that he could.
But this was the first. Like, so he had a scrap, but this was like the first like fight, right? Like,
Yeah. This is the first like fight that he's been in.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the kid was like a boxing champion or something.
Yeah, he bragged through the movie. This was the time to like meet it, and you expect like, okay.
Mm-hmm. No.
Shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that works.
That poor dude.
I think Home Alone is the way to go. If I can interject, I think the Home Alone tactic is the way to go with a thing like Jason. Not the like straight up. Obviously, weapons don't do it. But I think if you can mangle him with a paint can to the face, with a hot a hot knob, like like I think you got to take him by surprise. The traditional
surprise him with a hot knob.
the traditional does not work on this guy.
Also, Kevin McAllister is the potential serial killer. I'd like to just point that out. That there was a point where that movie went from home defense to
home murder.
I'm just trying to figure out what the dad did for a living, because if he could afford to take everyone to Paris and live in the house,
That house.
I think he was a drug dealer.
Probably.
He might have been.
Got that good Colombian stuff.
I know, right?
I've seen Narcos. I know what's up.
It was France, right? That he went.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Paris.
It was nothing to gawk at, and there's like what, 9 dozen of them.
There were 16.
Yeah, there's
Get
like
outta
they
here.
have 5 kids, and there's various cousins and whatnots.
And uncles and aunts. Yeah.
You don't make that kind of money legally. That's crime. That's crime family.
That's embezzlement at his finest.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't even think people on their block have. I think they have the nicest house.
It's
on
true.
do.
They live next to a old man.
There is a pseudo mansion here where we live, and it's like you drive down this road, and there's nice houses on this road.
No, this
for
is a
sure,
mansion.
But when you have a light up 12-foot long sign with your family's name on it,
Mm-hmm.
like that's when you know you've got buku money.
It's a McMansion.
Like, yeah, for real. Like, it is so.
You got that Friday the 13th series money.
Thank you for getting us back on track. Yes. So yeah, Jason took Manhattan. I guess he had some moments.
So here's the thing with this movie, though. It also works if you just watch it for fun, because considering the last one we saw, how does he end up back? We don't know. That's never explained.
Doesn't matter.
So where does he go after? Because this one ends weirdly with him turning back into a boy. What?
There's no plot. It's just Jason on a boat, and then Jason in a city, and then Jason in a little boat.
If you notice, the movies have no real connection.
No, absolutely not.
But some try more than this one did.
Very true.
Yeah, but I mean,
But so the New York toxic waste, but that a pivotal plot point.
I'm
of
just
this
trying to
movie,
figure out why the hell there's toxic waste in the middle of the.
Because you need Ninja Turtles.
Because like there's a
New
city
York City.
worker. New York City. There's a city worker that's like, don't be in them tunnels because every night at midnight they flood with toxic. Why?
Is this
Why,
Gotham
Jim?
City?
Like that,
yes.
You should get that checked. That is not normal.
And why is there a guy in every movie that's warning you about something?
Right. Like, really convenient.
Never go back again.
Really convenient.
But just like the guy on the boat, this cruise is cursed.
And the toxic waste turns Jason back into a boy, and yet in the next one, he's
okay.
Okay.
So let's go back. Let's go back to the boy. Let's go back to the boy in this one, right?
You have to.
Did you notice that every single time they had him as a boy in the visions, one, he has hair and he looks like a regular kid.
Very true.
And the
I
next
did
one,
not,
he's deformed, and the next one he's got a little bit of hair. He never looks the same.
That's right. Yeah, like he
Mhm.
progressively gets more
Played by different
Yes.
kid actors
Yes.
too.
Jason.
Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That still doesn't help.
No, it doesn't.
No,
It's not a good
it
movie.
doesn't. It's
But-
it's the best
But it
movie.
was a fun fact. Good for you.
If we want to
It's-
talk about,
It's still the best movie because Jason gets to be Jason.
For sure. Oh yeah.
it's
just an-
Jason's in it. Yeah.
It's just an excuse for like. I'm not going to argue. This got me one more movie with Kane Hodder.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that. You know what though? Toxic Waste Boy Jason made more sense than Tommy Jarvis resurrecting this stupid Zombo in the sixth one.
Yes, I agree with you.
But never mind that because
I
because
suppose.
he comes back as a demon
I don't.
in the next one.
So who else was hoping that the dog survived in this one?
Absolutely.
The dog.
I always hope the dog survives.
Yes. This movie is.
Shut up, Justus.
Yeah.
More of a cat person.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. Like,
All right, so Jason goes to hell.
Jason goes to hell and should not have come back. You get one of the weirdest sheriff, not even a sheriff, he's a Jason Hunter character.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you get he is such a good actor. I can never remember.
Isn't he the guy that he shows up in Supernatural?
He
doesn't
does. He has an excellent character in
Effectively
Supernatural.
The same character.
100% the same character.
Hang on, I'll
Please look him up because he deserves all the respect. Because this
meanwhile-
man is unhinged.
Bounty Hunter Creighton Duke.
Creighton Duke.
Creighton Duke.
Yeah,
Played by Stephen Williams.
Stephen
Yep.
Williams.
Yep.
I believe he's still alive. I hope so. Because I want more of this specific character
Oh, snap.
in
He was in The
everything.
Equalizer.
Yes, he was.
Was he in the Equalizer?
Mhm.
Now my ears perked up.
Yeah.
Right, I knew that
He's an
picture.
excellent actor.
Great movie.
This movie
Um,
sucked for me.
Oh, absolutely. It's a
Oh.
terrible movie.
This is the
Made no
worst.
sense whatsoever.
So Jason is a demon.
This is where
Because
Justus was like, oh,
reasons.
this was my favorite.
He can only be killed by another Voorhees for plot reasons.
Oh,
Yeah.
by the way, there's another Voorhees.
Also, yes, there's another Voorhees, which kind
Yeah,
of
I know, it's like-
brings it back to the incest plot a little bit.
Pamela was a saint, and you can't prove otherwise. She's dead.
She
Don't-
killed a lot of people.
She
She killed a lot of
Where's
people.
his
but
daddy?
Charlie said,
Where's his
I-
daddy?
you know what? I go back and I agree with Charlie. Them kids had it coming.
They
I don't know,
did.
Charlie had a good question just now.
What was it? Sorry.
Where's Jason's daddy?
I don't know.
They've
Check
never-
the
they've
house.
never-
Was his daddy Satan? Because apparently he's some demon thing.
It's because the Halloween franchise was like, you know what? You know what this needs? The occult.
It's
Let's
New
bring it
Line-
in.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
New
that's-
Line
yeah.
Cinema. New Line Cinema doesn't know how to do scary
They don't
movies
know.
that don't go supernatural.
I mean,
Like
They even
Freddy's
fail at
supernatural.
supernatural movies sometimes.
and that's New Line Cinema. So
that's the vibe. This is Jason in the Freddy Krueger universe.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they further enforce that because at the end, Freddy's claw comes up and takes his mask.
Mm-hmm.
And then-
so
But that doesn't come back for years.
another 10 years until we actually see that.
Exactly.
right. So, but it's just like this. A lot of interesting people seem to work on this movie. Obviously, Kane Hodder's in it for like
Mhm.
5 minutes. Like, there's things to it
Yeah.
Mhm.
that are fine, but by and large,
Yes.
it almost has to be what, like, after the fourth one you go to this.
You need to take an edible, and then watch the fourth one, and then watch this while it kicks
I'm
in.
trying to
No,
like,
darling, you need some of that pure white Colombian.
You need
Good.
sativa.
right.
Like you need
you
Because-
need to be a powdered donut
you need
meister.
you need to go on a peyote trip. Like
Yeah.
you need to meet a shaman in order to enjoy this movie.
It's not.
No.
Levels.
It's a very big departure. I think that's the big
Yes.
thing. It's just
It goes slightly Hellraiser near the end.
it's so different for not a really good reason.
No. But
we do get a very good zombie Jason at the end with the exposed spine and the whatnots.
Yeah, like he goes to hell. Like
Yeah.
there is that happens, and it's
He
kind
gets
of a
earthed.
spectacular finish. Like what's funny is, in the fourth one where they kill the dude, like it's not much. He kind of gets his comeuppance by his blade of choice. Whereas with this one, like they relish the fact that like they're ending this thing, they're ending this monster and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And so it like when Jason is in it, Kane Hodder's Jason, when he is in the movie, it's a better movie.
Yep.
Everything in between the opening and the closing, though, you can like skip and go without.
Yeah, honestly. You can skip right to the next movie, which is my second favorite in the franchise.
Underrated classic.
Underrated movie in general. Jason X is a fantastic movie, and I do not care what anybody says.
It just goes. It goes right back to Friday the 13th 3 in 3D.
Yeah.
Everyone was doing
Better.
space movies at that time. You got Leprechaun in space.
Great movie.
But but the way this works is in ranks of quality. All right, Jason X.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Hellraiser. All right, and then Leprechaun. Hellraiser in space is actually good.
Yeah. It is. I would say it's Hellraiser,
Okay.
Jason, then I felt like the production value of this one was below what we had seen.
But it's so much fun.
Like, so the highest grossing one until for a good while was the third one, a long time ago.
Yeah,
and
no,
so
it
like
sucked the most.
it's been going down like since, and so like it being less, I wouldn't doubt it's on a lower budget, and like very like. I think there's 3 sets in the whole thing. It feels like.
Yeah, basically.
It's very simple out for sure. I think there's this weird like fun nostalgia. Like, it gets meta in some areas. It's just like it plays with itself. It doesn't take it too seriously. It's just fun. It's just a lot of fun.
It's got the second and third best kill in the entire franchise.
The sleeping bag.
You got the sleeping bag. You got the liquid nitrogen face. You cannot deny that is an excellent kill.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Yes.
But the best looking Jason.
The Uber Jason. Come on, man.
Like Cyborg Jason just hits different, guys.
Come on, Charlie.
I don't know how y'all feel.
Come on.
Oh God.
He disappeared. Crystal Lake.
Oh,
Justus, do you have any thoughts?
Oh.
You know Uber Jason, right?
I'm gonna be honest. I'm watching some trailers of. I'll be honest. I'm still watching Jason's face,
and that's fine. It's good.
Listen, it's a lot of fun. So Hellraiser Bloodline, by the way, Hellraiser 4 is the one where they go to space.
I've never made it past that movie in
I don't
the
think you watched
Hellraiser
past
series.
The first one.
No. We watched 1, 2, and 3, and then we watched 4, and I was like, "This is really stupid," and then I refused to watch anymore.
You only watched the first one, you said, Justus?
I could be horribly wrong. It's one of those like you go over your family or friends or something like that house and they're watching it. It's on.
Oh, especially that one. Especially
I'm
that.
not 100% sure which one it was. I know it was a Hellraiser.
That sounds about right.
Was Henry Cavill in it?
They're
super lost.
Fairly similar. So I don't like. They're not huge. They're not a big pillar in my horror watch list, but
number 1 is.
They're interesting. There's a new Hellraiser series on Hulu that I'm looking forward to getting into.
I need to watch it, man.
But I thought the way they took Hellraiser to space was good. There wasn't much novelty. Jason X, same thing. I don't think there was a whole lot of goof to it. Like, literally, Leprechaun in Space, I think, is what it's called.
It's all goof.
It's so stupid.
You get.
Think about
it's on the same level as Leprechaun in the Hood, which is actually a really good movie.
That's the best one.
It's a really good movie.
Where he goes to Las Vegas is the best one.
Oh,
that's
the
3.
one, right?
No, that's 3.
No, second.
Are you sure?
Just two, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I'll say that that's one of the better like normal ones, but like
Yes. Leprechaun
Like-
in the Hood is top tier, though.
it's so good. I don't know why it's so good, but
It's
it's
because
so good.
he smokes weed, and the characters are genuinely great.
To go back to the question of how do you guys feel about him going on a field trip, as you put it,
Mhm.
these killers and stuff like that. That is, I look forward to that stuff because once you see them in their element, my mind starts to go like, okay, what happens when they're in this element? What happens when they're in this element? And me being from the hood that's always where my mind goes. It's like, what if he came to the hood though? What if,
My turn.
is it Jason is it Leprechaun versus Bloods and the Crips? Do they team up because they're like, we gotta
What
join
if that's what
together?
brings them together?
Right.
The Bloods and the Crips come together to kill the Queen.
We gotta stop this thing, So
Okay, I'm just. We'll talk after.
I love
we
this.
should definitely talk about the Leprechaun movie.
Please.
Those are amazing.
I love the first
talk
one, the
about-
second one, and the two. Yeah.
I'll talk about every horror thing that goes to the hood. Yeah.
Tales from the Hood.
Tales from
One
the
of the
Hood.
Hey, that's
Good
good
really.
movie.
Amazing movie. Better like it took like I love anthology stuff. I think
Yes.
we've talked about like short, sweet, to the point. Like things are so good, whether it's in books or TV shows or whatever. Like All Hail Creepshow for sure, but like this beat that out. Like
Yes.
Tales from the Hood, like definitely outdid. Like it's the same thing with like Leprechaun. It's Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yes.
Because there's a second one too, where it's like Leprechaun
Returning.
back to the hood,
Yeah.
back to the hood.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, but for whatever reason, like they take those movies way more seriously for some reason, and so it's like
Yeah.
I don't know, it pays off because it turns out to be a
Mhm.
better watch.
Also, I plug this documentary at every chance I get because it is a damn fine documentary, just in general. Horror Noir. It is a history of black horror, and it is so freaking good. You get creators from every era of horror. Watch it. It's on Shudder. It's so good.
If you like horror, you should be subscribed
Mhm.
to Shudder anyway.
Yep.
You can use my
Highly
account.
recommend it.
I will take you up on it.
So I like both field trips. I like his field trip to Manhattan. I like his field trip to space. I don't know. There's something, it works for me. And it's a short-lived thing, but Uber Jason, like if you're listening and you don't know what we're talking about, just Google it.
It's so good.
He looks so good. This is like some Dark Horse Comics level like design and everything. This looks like it would go up against Spawn. Like it's that era of like really stylized sort of thing. This is what a fan would think if they're like Jason but cooler.
Mm-hmm.
Just love it. Looks good.
Mm-hmm. And the ending is pretty great too.
So
Yes.
he had the most kill count
Yes, he did.
in this one.
Technically.
If you want to count virtual ladies.
No. Not because of that.
Oh, right, because he blows up the
He literally blows up the
spaceship.
ship.
That's
Which
right.
was 19,700 and something people.
Good God.
Here's
But did
207 dogs, 17 cats, 4,713
Shut up. You are not actually
Angel-
reading that right now.
angel
Get out of here.
fish, guppies, neons, and mollies, 3 gerbils, 2 rats, and a pony,
Charles.
and a
Yes.
Komodo dragon.
Oh my God.
Where in the
Who
heck
has a
are-
Komodo dragon? Okay.
This came from Todd Farmer.
That sounds made up. That's not a person.
What? What is that? What do you mean it's not a person?
Did he just was he on did he work on the movie?
Where does he
I
get
think
this
so.
information, and why should we trust him?
Well,
What
here's the thing though. did Jason kill them, or did the cold vacuum of space?
Good point.
Tar Farmer is the screenwriter for the.
Okay, so maybe he has a point.
yeah.
I mean, you know what? I'll give it to him because I pulled that card with Luke Skywalker. He's got the biggest kill count in Star Wars.
It's true.
I mean,
Hang on. Let's
Okay.
find out who has the
so
biggest.
funny you say Star Wars because I'm looking at this guy's tweet, and he's in a picture with Chewie.
Nice.
Nice. All right, let's see.
What are you
I'm trying to
looking
see.
for?
I'm looking at if you want to move on.
Yeah,
I'm
will
looking
move
up
on.
how many people were on the Death Star to see if.
Oh my
who
gosh.
wins.
So,
Jason.
it's probably Jason. Honestly, I don't think there were that many people on the Death Star, especially after they start launching the escape pods. Yeah, you got to think Tarkin was
Luke
stuck
wins.
old. All right.
Luke wins. 1.7 million military personnel, 400,000 maintenance droids, 200,000 civilians.
There were civilians on the Death Star.
I mean, a moon is pretty big. This
Good God. All right.
so.
Anyway, back to
Modifications.
Luke Skywalker.
next in the franchise is Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah.
A controversial film
Not
to
at
include
all.
in the franchise
I love it.
to some, if
It's
you let me
amazing.
finish my.
Yeah, because I'm like, why? Let's talk about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Let's
There's
talk
a lot
about
of people who do not consider it canon because they don't like that movie, and that's not valid,
But
personally.
Toxic Waste Boy is.
Yeah, I know. I know.
I'm not. Yes, I'm teasing the internet. Not
Yeah. This is the most 2000s movie in the franchise, obviously, because it was made in 2003?
Yes.
2003. It has that blue tint to it that all of the 2000s horror movie had. It was either blue or red. I don't know
It
why.
had the ridiculous like just the.
Oh my
generic,
god, it had butt rock.
Most popular today.
You
rock.
had a really stupid dialogue like, Jason died by water, Freddy by fire. How can we use that? And then they proceed to not use that.
Yep.
That
And then,
is
and then
just-
you remember when right before it came out, they had the weigh-in in Las Vegas.
Mm-hmm. That's a cool event.
Nice. I remember. Like, obviously, growing up, how I did. Like, my mom knew what I watched growing up. She really didn't care. In fact, she enjoyed when there was something we could share. So and Jason being like her favorite of this era, she grew up loving slasher movies, going and seeing these all the time. So like us liking that together was really interesting. But I remember like getting dropped off at a friend's house to get babysat while she and her girlfriends went to see this movie in theaters because it was like such an event for them.
Mm-hmm.
Like this was such a big deal. This is her generation's Star Wars is back in theaters kind of thing. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember just being jealous. I'm just like, man, like I want to go. I want to see this movie.
And you still watched it, but later.
I did eventually. I didn't get to go to the theater, unfortunately, but I remember being jealous of that. But it was a big spectacle. I remember because by this point, 23 years later,
Mm-hmm.
finally getting to square off against arguably the next biggest name, because we're just not going to talk about Michael Myers.
No.
No.
Halloween 3 is the best Halloween movie.
But,
And he's not even in it.
I want to talk about all the matchups,
right?
all the possible matchups, because I think that's why it was such a big thing. Was the verses, because you always had that argument was like, hey, but I'm a Freddy fan, I'm a Jason fan, like, who's better than who and who would beat and fight with who, kind of like a Jackie Chan, Jet Li conversation, and then Forbidden Kingdom was huge for
And
about
then
2 seconds. For about 2 seconds. And, no, the coming out was huge. Let me say that.
Yeah.
The expectation was huge, and then
And then there's a random white dude.
was like, Was
So
like,
I'll always defend it's a decent movie. It's not Jackie versus Jet.
No.
movie.
It's a
It's not
Return of
what
the
it was-
Drunken Master movie at first, which was just.
Yeah, it's not what it was billed to be at all, for sure. But yeah, this this was kind of huge.
Yeah.
Like to
It was
have,
huge, yeah.
If it wasn't for like the teenage characters being used as furniture and set pieces, I think it would be a better movie in general.
I
The
think
fight scene. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
The fight scenes were great. Absolutely.
yeah,
They
were
were.
on the fight scene. Like Freddy can fight.
Yes.
for real.
Like,
Like
this
he's
dude-
scrappy.
Like, yeah. I'm like, this dude doing MMA stuff. Like,
And
I'm
he's
like,
dirty too, though.
Mhm.
Yeah, he is. I mean,
How could you not?
You
especially
have
when
to.
he becomes as his mom.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, tell him you're a piece of crap.
Yeah,
You're not doing
Like,
what you're supposed to be doing.
he's vile. Like, and Freddy's always been that. Like, he's never had. Like, you might crack a joke
My good
and
Christian
make you laugh, but like
Freddy.
he's never been like the one you can get behind. It's not like with like
No, you're not
you know,
supposed to.
right. Like, it's not like, oh well, but the teams are kind of annoying, so it's okay. Like, no, it's like, no, he's evil. And this movie uses that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Literally,
Literally full of demons.
and so the rest of the movie is just to get us to the fight. But I love.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, they play like they have fun with it. It's just like you got these two characters. Like I have like the stunts are amazing.
Mm-hmm.
That
Another
whole
extended
final
fire scene.
battle, like oh my gosh.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the iconic shots. Like I think also the one where like Freddy's like launching out of the lake and he's
Yes.
like it's all tinted red. Like getting someone who could like visually make this interesting. It's
Yes.
not just pulling these guys out of the 80s and putting them against each other, but it's really like kind of transforming them into a 2000s
Mm-hmm.
vibe. It definitely like is dated, but it's so fun.
Yeah, you get like a very nice guy character who makes a joke about a girl's weight. Not cool. You get another very good bed folding kill. It's an okay movie, you know.
That's pretty good. It's
Yeah.
a lot of fun. If you like either of these,
It
this
was very
is,
2000s.
you got to include this on the rewatch as the sort of culmination. For
Got
sure.
to. And last and definitely not least in the franchise, the return of the franchise. How many years later? After there was a
29.
illegal shenanigans where rights were being moved around. 2009, Friday the 13th returns, and it is a good freaking movie. And I will defend that until the day I die.
I agree. With you. It was a good remake.
Yeah, like I am a staunch remake apologist for most remakes, except for Nightmare on Elm Street and Psycho. But I have my reasons. Vince Vaughn.
All of these New Line cinema movies are on HBO Max, by the way.
Yes.
This being one of them, and it's like I really recommend it.
Mm-hmm. Derek Mears as Jason. He does an excellent
It's
job.
amazing.
He is a fantastic stuntman. Played Swamp Thing in the DC show.
Played Predator. He's a big name in modern
He was in Twin Peaks: The Return.
stunt work.
Mm-hmm.
If you need a big guy, he's
Mhm.
up there on the list nowadays. And they really go back to part 2 Jason, the vibe of like he's been living out here by himself. He's learned how to
Mhm.
scrape and survive. He is a hunter. He uses traps. He's logical.
Mhm.
Like he's definitely not normal, but he's also not a dumb lumbering brick.
Yep.
Which
He is smart in
it
this
goes
movie.
to make him scarier. Like he runs
Mhm.
a lot in this movie.
All improvised weapons too,
Oh yeah, like it's not just machete work. Like
except for the bear trap.
anything he can do to get you, he'll get you with.
Mm-hmm. Return of the Sleeping Bag Kill.
And so this is sort of like if you watch it, it starts off like connecting it really just back to it did the thing that was very popular and continues to be popular where we're going to ignore a chunk of what's happened over the time and go back to one of the defining movies. So it's like Friday the 13th and then this. So it's confusing because they're both Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm. It's got one of the longest cold opens of all time.
Oh, it's so good. Like
It's
if you're
so
not
good.
sold in the first 15 minutes, like I don't know, man, you might just not be into this. But
And then you get to look at Jared Padalecki's
So
face
good.
for a while. So, you know.
there is that. And so, like he's always been scary. Each movie just seems to kind of like try to take its own way of making him scary, continuing that. Whether he's an unstoppable force, whether he's a resourceful, forest man, whether he's a zombie.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it's all. I have to commend the creativity to keep him fresh.
Yeah.
Because as much as I love Freddy Krueger and the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, I feel like this formula is very simple there.
Yeah.
And they do try to add more to the story for the character, but by and large, it feels like the same movie over and over.
Yeah.
It's at least entertaining. I feel like Jason stays fresh and alive, and I think that's part of the reason like he's stuck around. Like, add on top of that an iconic and memorable mask.
Yep. A Red Wings, the Detroit Flyers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mask.
Mm-hmm. Like you got a good formula for a memorable character. So kind of like wrapping up, like why do you think so? Like obviously we're talking about slasher movies, like we're talking about scary movies. All like
What's your favorite scary
why
movie?
do you think that sticks with people though? Like why are we talking about this like it's some amazing contributing to society thing? Like it's just a slasher movie. Like what do you think makes it so special or keeps it stuck with people? I mean, 42 years, that's a long time for a slasher movie to still be around, interesting, relevant. Like, it's got to have some kind of secret sauce to it. That's to anybody who wants to answer.
Yes.
Let Charlie go. I got my thoughts.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Go for it, man.
You got more thoughts than I got right now on it.
Oh man,
Clearly.
I mean, so you know me, and I like my rabbit hole. So, let's play with it. I feel like, man, just the idea of, as humans, we have that idea of what if, what if this was a thing, what if this happened, what if this happened to me, what would I do, blah, blah, blah. You have the reality TV show mindset where you're like, hey, I'm watching other people go through some stuff, which is everybody seems to like, as we can see in the reality TV era, if I would say. But for me, especially, at least it falls in those categories of, hey, what if this happened? What would I do? And you kind of watching other people. It was always interesting to me to see, because I am a what if person, to see all the different options that a person of that mindset or whatever, just a murderer, could take people out. And not for like ideas like, hey, I thought that's a good idea. I never thought about that. But
for the FBI agent listening,
right. But for me, I'm always want to be ready for whatever happens in life. So my mind is always like, what if this happened? How can I defend myself? How can I, what would I do in that situation? So that's me. So between that and me watching other people struggle and just being like, dude, don't go down that hallway. What are you doing? Why are you by yourself? Was a question that I asked myself so much watching these things. It's just, why are you by yourself? So a part of the watching, I'm going to say this because I don't like to call people dumb, but watching dumb people do dumb things and watching people just drop. Hey, I'm gonna hit you, but I'm gonna drop this machete. So when you do get up, because I didn't kill you, I didn't even knock you out, not even close. But I'm gonna run to the corner where there's no doors, no windows, and allow you to pick this machete back up.
Reset.
Right, and it's just over and over and over of that, that misery loves company type of thing. I don't know if it's like, dude, why are you doing this? I'm gonna keep watching you make stupid decisions so I can talk about how stupid decisions that you make. I don't know.
I mean, it's interesting because there's almost this like, it feels like the same reason some people watch sports. Like you're watching these plays and providing your commentary, your thoughts. You're kind of like, oh, well, I would have, or they should have, and it's almost that of you're seeing something play out, and your brain's working on what you would do, or something like that. I don't know. Like, I clearly didn't think this through, but like
armchair horror movie.
Yeah, it's just this sort of. There's an entertainment value in trying to problem solve, even in a situation where like you don't change the movie by like going through that. You don't change the game by going through that, but you do it, and you feel good like coming up with something better. Like I wouldn't have done that. I would have done this, that, and the other, and then dropped him out the window. Like
I wouldn't have went to the gravesite at all.
Yeah, exactly.
Let it go. Move, like
Let it go.
You gotta move on. If you don't, you might just resurrect your demons.
Exactly.
What about you, Charlie? What's the staying power for slasher movies, for Jason, for you? What keeps it interesting and worth talking about for 2 hours?
For me, I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I just love it.
Fair.
That's an answer.
I like how they can come up with creative ways to kill people.
Also fair.
That's maybe it's more along the lines of it's kind of like the same thing over. It's kind of like comfort.
Yeah.
It's the same pattern. Like you got your comfort food. Well, I got my comfort horror movie.
Exactly.
And that's Jason Voorhees.
No, like
exactly.
I totally get that. Like what I would consider my comfort movies are not like normal comfort movies. Like Twin Points, some Star Wars. Like okay, some people are like that with Star Wars, but movies like this, movies like Predator, Alien, like these nostalgic movies that
Sleepaway Camp.
Like I can't explain all of it. Like some of it's just interesting. We were Boop and I were talking about this earlier because they were on a podcast just last night.
Talking about the Sally House.
Yeah, with the Bombad cast. We highly recommend you check out not only that episode, but select episodes.
Vet them first.
We love those boys. But,
your discretion advised.
Some of those episodes get a little weird.
They get rowdy.
But anyway, so talking about the Sally House, a haunted house of sorts.
An extremely haunted house.
You were asked and you brought up like, I think I like this because it.
Yeah.
Well, in your own words, like, why is it interesting?
At the end of the podcast, Scotty asked me, do you think how do you come down from the high feelings of researching stuff like this or talking about it? And I had a realization of I don't think I ever do come down from it because it's such a part of my routine. Like you said, it's very comforting to have something interesting, I guess. I'm not saying this right, but it's a comforting search for knowledge. And also some people like roller coasters. I cannot do roller coasters. J-Dub can attest to the fact that I cannot deal with any roller coasters.
That was a bad day.
It was a very bad day. I had a full-on panic attack on Expedition Everest at Disney. Do not recommend.
I can't do that either.
Some people like roller coasters for some reason,
but
I think it's a similar kind of high adrenaline experience to, enjoy these movies. Like I'll toss on Hereditary sometimes just to feel something. It's a great feeling.
It's what you process and how you like it's not scary to you.
No,
because it's so normal.
Exactly. Like I enjoy watching horror movies. I mean, horror is a good 60 to 70% of what I consume in general.
Yeah.
So it's I'm used to it.
Growing up, like I said, with my mom, this was almost celebrated. She was almost proud to have a kid that she could talk to about movies she liked.
We had very different upbringings.
And I think that's something, right. I think that's something like parentally relatable. It's just like, when your kid likes your music, like you don't feel like there's a groan every time you put your favorite album on. There's almost this like, hey, can you put on that cool butt rock album? It's like, oh yeah, like when somebody else likes something you like that, it's really interesting and it almost becomes something you cultivate and celebrate. And so for me, like, I don't think it's weird, like, talking about it or enjoying these movies because it was never made to be weird for me. It wasn't like, you can't watch those, you shouldn't watch those or anything. Like, it was always just, these are movies. These are what was available and accessible in my house. That's normal. Mm-hmm. It's actually less normal to watch like dramas and all this other stuff. Like, people are surprised. I didn't watch the Muppets growing up. Okay, like,
you didn't.
More people are surprised with that stuff than
he didn't watch Sesame Street either.
Horror, sci-fi, all of that was more normal to my childhood development than actual childhood development shows.
Never seen the Muppets in space. Never seen the Great Muppet Caper.
So, there's things like that where some people like maybe like, oh, like you like those. That's a little weird. Aren't those scary? Aren't those gross? And blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, you like that one kid's show. And I'll never tease someone for that because I like Star Wars. And that's made for children.
I will watch Sesame Street any day of the week. You better believe.
But, it's one of those things, like, I think it's only weird depending on your perspective.
Mm-hmm.
And so
your focus determines your reality.
I didn't ask this question thinking I would actually like have much of an answer, but like that would be my I think, why do we still talk about it? Why is it still fun and interesting? I think it's just because it is like, there's some things I wish people wouldn't think too much about, and then there's other things I wish people would think more about.
Yeah.
And this falls in a weird category of both. Like, think of horror not just in it's gross, it's exploitive, it's just, lesser film. Think of it's actual art, it's actual creativity, like, it's legit. Why won't more horror movies win awards? That's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But also, don't think so seriously about it that it's like, oh, are we raising murderers by letting youths watch this movie?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, I think that's the fear. The fear.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean,
there's raising this.
Yeah, are we raising the next Jason Voorhees? There's so many other contributing factors, in my opinion, to what, like, when people blame video games, when people blame the internet, when people blame music, there's so many other things that make your kid screwed up, and one of them is probably you, Mom.
Probably.
No offense, but like, the video games were probably the outlet for the other stuff. Like, I'm not a psychologist. Get your kid in therapy if you're worried about these things. But
please, get your kid in therapy in general.
Don't blame horror movies for bad people.
Please don't. I'm a delight to be around.
Heck, what was it? It was The Taxi Driver. Not even a horror movie that inspired a man to kill a man.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, come on.
Not even that. You remember the Domino's campaign with the Noid? Mm-hmm. There was a dude who was convinced that they were talking to him.
Yep.
Because his last name was Noid. That inspired somebody to kill.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can't say that, any drug PSA I've ever heard has, if anything, that stuff taught you where to get drugs. Like,
Right. How to ask for a roach. Yeah.
I didn't know what tennis shoes on a power line meant until I heard about it in Dare.
But that's the thing, right? Is it's like, do we think that running anti-drug campaigns raises drug dealers? No. So
No.
why do we think like watching scary movies inspires scary people? Like it just doesn't work that way.
Calm down.
Because when you watch scary movies, it releases demons into your
It's
home.
true. Don't
Oh
watch
my
Hocus
gosh.
Pocus, kids.
Yeah, don't watch Hocus Pocus. That witchcraft is going to come out and get you.
Those
I can't wait.
Oh my gosh. Well,
Just take me home.
I condone horror movies. I think they're amazing. I'm with Charlie that there's a great number of them that I would call comfort movies.
Absolutely.
And hopefully we've made Jason more interesting because one of the things that happens with an iconic thing like a hockey mask and a machete is you see just that, but there's so much built into this character. Like we've talked about,
It's a legacy.
it speaks to PTSD with victims. It speaks to generational traumas. It also just deals with the fact that like leave your demons buried. That just do it.
Dead is better.
Dead is
You just
better.
can't get off. You just can't get off of that buryingness. There.
No, we cannot.
All
right.
It supports therapy. All kinds of things. Like
Sports, arts, and crafts.
Jason and Friday the 13th is more interesting than I think a lot of people give it credit for. And so you can rent any of them on Amazon or YouTube, but you can definitely watch a handful of them on HBO Max. I recommend it. I mean, they're all really fun, despite what we've said of some of them. There may be
A
some
select few.
made lesser than others, but they are all fun.
Yeah.
Except Jason Goes to Hell. Skip that one.
No horror franchise has a perfect record other than Child's Play.
And Gremlins.
And
And
Gremlins.
Gremlins, yes.
And Gremlins.
Is that horror though?
Yes.
It's,
Yes.
It's horror comedy.
Yeah.
It's horror comedy.
Mm-hmm.
It's homid. Is it? Is it homid?
It's comedy, yes.
Comedy.
It's close.
It's horror-y.
Anyways.
But you know what is first of all, thank you, Charlie, Justus. Thank you guys for
Thank you, guys.
coming along.
Love you, boys.
If you want to get fit, if you are now frightened of Jason and want to get fit, you changed your handle, but Gorilla Intensity Workout will train you to beat the slasher in you or against you. I don't know. Work it into your own merchandise. Justus.
And also, Justus is a sweetheart.
Yeah, absolutely.
You get to hang out with
He will
him.
prepare you to beat. There you go, Gorilla Intensity.
There you go.
Train to be the final girl in your own movie.
Exactly. Put that on TeePublic tonight.
If you get that tea, I will buy it.
There you go.
You know what? Coming up.
I'm going to make a crop top just for you, Charlie.
If you want your final moments in a slasher film documented beautifully, check out Charles and his photography.
Charles. Who's Charles?
Charlie.
Chuck.
Charlie.
Chuckles.
Check out Charlie and his. It's Charles too. Okay.
I know.
Yeah.
Anyway, check out Charles and his photography. He's amazing. And then obviously we're here.
I'm here.
As we've already said, all the important links are in the description. So really the only other thing to do is to let you know what we're talking about next week, which again, we are going spooky. So we're continuing that trend.
So spooky.
Arguably something more spooky than Friday the 13th.
One of my favorite horror novels of all time.
And this will be, on record, my first time seeing this movie.
What?
I love the lighting.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, without further ado, let's see what we're talking about next week.
Somewhere between science and superstition, there is another world. The world of darkness. expected it.
All right, Mr. Let's see what the...
Nobody believed it. And nothing could stop it.
There are no experts. You probably know as much about possession as most priests. Look, your daughter doesn't say she's a demon. She says she's the devil himself.
I'm telling you that that thing upstairs isn't my daughter. Now, I want you to tell me that you know for a fact that there's nothing wrong with my daughter except in her mind. You tell me you know for a fact that an exorcism wouldn't do any good. You tell me that!
The one hope. The only hope. The Exorcist.
The Dibble. The Dibble's coming to Nerd Herder.
Touted as one of the scariest movies ever. I never believed
For
it.
its time.
So I never watched it.
For
but
its time.
For you, dear listeners and watchers and people of the night, I'll do it for you.
One of my favorite horror movies, one of my favorite horror novels. I adore The Exorcist.
And I have no opinion yet.
Yet.
So you'll have to tune in next week for whatever opinion I form about this movie and Pazuzu. And
You know that.
I will watch it for my amusement.
Yes.
And for you. And
You don't even get the reference.
It's bound to be a good time. And so, yeah, without further ado, I guess just be here next week when we go
Yep.
live to have that conversation.
I'm gonna go
have fun.
play on the spirit board over there.
Yes, we're going to go talk to Beelzebub through the Ouija.
Captain Howdy.
And we'll be back next week. But in the meantime, remember to stay spooky.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You know, this is, excuse me, a damn fine cup of coffee.